Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video we'll be talking about a lot of weather, obviously. Potential for some pretty good snowfall amounts across the northern plains and into, sorry about that webcam, into southern Canada. And also quite a bit of rain across the southern United States. That's looking quite serious, and an increased pattern to bring snow and rain across the southwest. Just a lot of stuff. So before we do, if you guys would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing or liking the video, obviously once you've decided if this is worthy. Otherwise, hopefully at least I could provide a bit of useful information. Let's get into this. Okay, so I want to start off by looking at the National Weather Service Weather Ready Nation map, and notice what we have going on across the United States. So we have a bit of warnings and advisories for the snowfall across the Northwest. It is mainly wrapping up, but there still will be continued storms across the coming weeks, so quite a bit more snow could fall there. Notice that across Tennessee, Kentucky, and into the south, we do have quite a bit of advisories in terms of flooding, flash flood advisories, warnings, all sorts of stuff, and that is, again, all to do pretty much with that snow that melted, but that was kind of a smaller thing. It's just the rain that has been falling. The snow was already melted and already made the grounds wet. Now they're pretty darn wet, especially across northern Mississippi where tons of rain fell, and it's looking again pretty bad. So, and then across the north into southern Canada, into Maine, there could be quite a bit of snow falling with these several onslaught of these systems that we'll be tracking into the coming week. Pretty strong snowstorms could be coming through there. And across Minneapolis, Minnesota area, there aren't any advisories yet on warnings, but there is a growing chance for a rather decent snow system across those locations. Going to the radar, notice what we have going on across the country right now. What we see is a large rain mass across the southern United States, right? Nothing too extraordinary. It's mainly light rain with a bit of moderate rain intermixed. And notice over the last 6 hours, it has moved out of Mississippi, Alabama, but continued showers keep falling. And notice that into Ohio, Indiana, Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, it is kind of spreading northward and getting some showery activity towards the north. And in the west, still ongoing flow of moisture, especially into the higher elevations, right there into the Cascades. Let's take a look. I want to show you something interesting. The past rainfall totals for the last 24 hours. And look at this. This was last 24 hours, so yesterday starting at 6:10 when I pretty much recorded my video exactly. So I was saying that a lot of rain will fall. Exactly where will be a bit tougher, and there will be pockets of heavier rain. Overall, a heavy rain event, and that's true. You can see the yellow areas is really like 1 inch. The red is 2 inches, close to 2 inches. Little Rock got around 2.5. But look, there were several pockets that got those heavier amounts. Look at that right there. 3.3 inches in extreme northwestern Louisiana. Into Texas, there were some decent amounts of rain for sure, and but again, nothing compared to what they saw here in Mississippi. A little pockets, but pretty big in I guess size. Still too big, too much rain. I mean, look at that, 3.5, 3.8 at the highest amounts. This wasn't really widespread across the south, 3.6 inches, but I mean, as you zoom out, you can see that it's still raining here, and it's adding on lot of rain. And I don't want to be that person, right? But okay, so I will show you what the National Weather Service thinks will come into in total precipitation additionally. So I said I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person that kind of overhypes or dramatizes things. But notice this is their forecast. This is not mine. I'm just conveying it to you. Notice what they show for the next 30 hours. Some areas getting an additional inch to 2 inches to possibly 3. More focusing probably on Tennessee and a bit further to the north. But look at that, as we expand this into 78 hours, some locations could get 3 to 4 inches of rain. Into southern Kentucky, up to 4 to 5 inches, and it's a pretty large swath. I mean, it was a couple days ago, it was a pretty small, but they have kind of expanded that, and you can see Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, especially northern North Carolina, seeing over an inch. Many locations approaching 2 inches. New York City around an inch, probably a bit more, and really drier across the southwest for now. A bit of rain into New Mexico and quite a bit across the northwest. You did see quickly that I show you at the beginning, before I switch to the rainfall, the snow. So notice for the next 30 hours, a lot of snow across the northwest and into southern Canada. I don't really see that because it's cut off. The National Weather Service doesn't forecast for Canada. But look, into Maine, we see that snow adding on. Obviously, it just doesn't stop at the border. So we could assume it's heavier there, especially since that's where the models show the heavier snow. And look at this. The National Weather Service right now paints an area of around 4 to 5 inches across the UP into Wisconsin, a bit lighter towards Minnesota and Minneapolis. If you're watching from that area, this is most likely a pretty light estimation from the National Weather Service. There's a lot of models that are showing quite a bit of snow potential from this, and some are showing potentially double-digit snowfalls. So stay tuned. This could be kind of coming out of surprises. It's 48 hours away. And notice again, a lot of snow across the Northwest and into portions of the Appalachians. Okay, so let's start talking about this. RAP, this is a computer model that goes out to 51 hours every few hours, right? So I'm at the most recent model run that goes out to that distance. And let's take a look at what it does with the precipitation, reflectivity, precip, and type. So this won't show you the long range, but it takes us 51 hours out, which is pretty much almost through the end of the weekend. Okay, so let's start timing this out. Notice the rain that is ongoing right now across the North Carolina area, South Carolina. It starts dissipating, especially towards the south, but it keeps itself together, especially for being such a light rain mass. But look, I mean, it stays together until it starts getting a bit more energy from a northern piece of this, and look at that. We could start seeing snow blossoming across southern Canada, not really into Michigan, potentially a bit for sure. And how early that develops will obviously determine the amounts of snow across Canada and Michigan. But confidence lays further in is higher as we get further into, say, Canada and Maine, as that's where the system will already be kind of strong. So look at this, right? Looking pretty weak, but the rain is continuing on and off. Doesn't look to be supportive of any sort of deluge across the Northeast. Definitely, though, with that heavy snowpack, in some locations, light rain plus warm temperatures is all that's needed for some flooding issues. And look at that. Look at that snow. Montreal, Ottawa potentially getting a bit more, and Quebec probably getting the most into northern Maine. Several inches of snow as this pushes off. Now, you may think, okay, that's done. It's over. Well, notice the showers still continuing across the south, which I think are a bit underrepresented by this RAP. Probably similar. The radar will look like this. When that is going on across the Northeast, we'll probably say something like this, just light showers, nothing torrential, but it will slow down the draining away process of any rivers or ponded areas. And notice, right after that moves away, well, look at that. We have another one ready to go. And look, the RAP is a very strong advocate of showing a very strong band of snow, and this is some pretty heavy snow bands. It's narrow, but it's strong. And look at that. It takes us right through Minneapolis. Rain, thankfully a bit further to the north than what the south, where the heaviest rain has fallen, but it's not really for long. As we track this forward, we see a cold front starting to tail on and develop from this pretty moderate to light rain across Ohio, Indiana, into the Northeast. Look, that snow band pushes just south of Duluth. Again, the track of this is a bit uncertain, and the strength is completely uncertain. It's not going to be a monster, but it definitely could be more than 3 inches, what the National Weather Service shows. And look, as this tracks forward, this little tail continues to track across similar areas, especially towards the back end, across Arkansas, Tennessee. It eventually pushes into the Northeast, and so does this little system, north of all the major cities, but still affecting folks in Canada. And look, we start seeing some pretty good showers and thunderstorms developing for much of your Sunday into really late Saturday into your Sunday time frame across the South, and pushing into the large cities like Philadelphia and New York around early Sunday as well. And this system, if you're across Minnesota, Minneapolis, this would be probably occurring late tomorrow into early Sunday. So yeah, it's not terribly far away at all, and that's why I think that it won't be a massive system, or it won't turn into a massive system out of nowhere. But if you're to take a look at the winter weather, it's the snowfall amounts, they are pretty high. So notice what we see, right? Light snow with that system across Canada, and not bad amounts across certain locations. 6-7 inches across the Northwest, heavy amounts. But look at that, it just explodes. A narrow band with, again, some areas not even over the double digits, but over a foot, 14-15 inches. Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, around almost 8-9 inches. Marquette around a foot. Northern Wisconsin, good amounts, and into portions of South Dakota, not bad either. So definitely something to be concerned about, as that could obviously cause some travel headaches. And then the precipitation in terms of rain for the South, those flood-stricken areas, notice what we see, right? A bit of additional rain with this ongoing system, especially more as you go towards the mid-Atlantic. But look at that, it blossoms in the future, and by Sunday evening, some locations across Tennessee could be already at 3-4 inches. In Arkansas, where they got a lot of rain, you could be seeing an additional 1 to 2 inches. And if you're to take a look at the so this is what's forecast to come in the next 51 hours, which more will come after this 51 hours. You can see that it overlaps across, especially across Arkansas, with that very heavy rain. And sorry, well, where was I? There we go. The 1 inch across flood-stricken areas is a ton, and usually an inch alone is a pretty good amount. Okay, let's take a look at some more longer range models. Okay, so we looked at the short range models. Now let's take a look at the long range models and see what they have to say. So we take a look at the GFS 18Z afternoon model run, and notice what we see. We have that system there right now that's going across, sorry about that, going across the mid-Atlantic into the south. GFS portrays that pretty well, quite a bit of snow across the northwest. That, again, drags to the north, develops snow across pretty far into the northeast. Some areas in the border of Canada could end up seeing rain. I probably will end up seeing rain, and then you can see that pushes off. Not as huge snow event, but definitely something to watch for. Again, more rain across the south, where they have you've seen a ton of that rain. Sorry about that. And notice right after you think that it was over, we have that another system again pushing into the northeast by Sunday morning. And look at that, this thing, that northern piece and that southern piece, they disconnect. So a lot of the areas in between don't really pick up on anything. But to the north, this system's doing fine with no precip. It's chugging in moisture, and it's producing some pretty heavy snow. It's small, it's narrow, but under that, again, some double-digit snowfall amounts are possible based on the way the system's looking right now. And then notice this very, very heavy rain band sets up across the south and continues for several hours, if not over a day, across certain locations. And again, with the amount of rain they've seen, this is not good. You can see it sets up and it finally drags to the south as this polar vortex high. Definitely chillier across the Great Lakes with this. Just shoves it off, right? And a little bit of snow associated with that. Probably see some sort of a clipper system. And that is way off. But notice, warm air quickly replaces that cold air, right? A huge jump in temperatures. And then look, that cold front doesn't go far. It stays lingering there, and we see another large system, this time potentially even more rain and higher severe weather threat, as this is supported by natural low pressure. The atmosphere is a bit more unstabilized, and this could be, again, a severe weather threat that we'll have to monitor. And look what it does here. It just sets up across the south for a while, and these areas have also been drenched with rain. And look at that, it just sets up for a while and just spins there. That could be potentially pretty dangerous if that happens, and not because of the storms, but just because of the amount of rain that could fall there already on wet grounds. And then that moves off, mainly rain. And look at this, we have a system that moves in through the west, right? Not bad amounts of the precip across that. By the way, I don't want to say that the first system that will move across California will probably be around the next Wednesday time frame, less than a week out, right? And then you can see that's the one that forms this beast. Again, details are probably still to be determined about that. And notice that in the future, we see more systems across the west, just maybe a bit further to the north than this first one. Spawns a blizzard type storm across the Midwest. Bit of severe weather probably on the cold front is likely. And then you can see this system moves in further to the south, bringing rain into Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico. Definitely good news. And look, it brings the snow pretty far to the south. These past systems prior to this one brought rain all the way to Minnesota. This one could bring snow all the way down to Chicago, Indiana. Again, this is probably unlikely to occur, but it's definitely historically been true that a lot of these storm systems don't have to occur during a cold pattern. It could be warm, and out of nowhere it happens. It's kind of like the 1993 superstorm. And while this one's going on, you can see another system is starting to move into the the southwest, the west, and the northwest. In terms of snowfall, let's actually look at the rain first. That's probably the bigger concern for many more folks. Notice a lot of that will be falling as snow up here across the northwest, but right there, look, I mean, Kentucky, Tennessee picking up some rather ridiculous amounts of snow. Arkansas picking up 2 to 3 inches more of rain by the time it's Tuesday on already very wet grounds. And then here we have that system The tracks to the southwest, you can see a bit of precipitation gets added on. Not huge, but look, that system dumps again even more rain across the south, Tennessee or Kentucky, 8-9 inches. Not good news. And look, it just stalls across the south. I mean, if you think you're wet in northern South Carolina or wherever, South Carolina, North Carolina, and you think you can't accept another inch, potentially look at this. This system brings alone some locations up to 8-9 inches. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And in the future, you could see more precip and pattern stays active. Winter wise, total snowfall with the Kuchera. Notice not bad, especially if those blizzards were to occur across the Canadian prairies and to the northwest. Definitely also some amounts, and even into the southern United States, not bad, or southwestern, sorry. And as we push this forward, you can see with that late system further to the south, it could also be decent. So with that first system that's going to occur tomorrow, or sorry, into Sunday, across the Minnesota area, you can see that GFS points out 5 to 6 inches more than what the National Weather Service thinks. The GFS parallel in regards to that system also puts out plenty of locations over 6 inches and some reaching over a foot. And into southern Canada, also those large cities, mainly with that first system, probably looking a bit more dangerous, right? And into the long range, it does show activity. You can see across Canada, mainly focused, but this only takes us to 240 hours. If you were to take a look at the precipitation type and rate, which shows us like the simulated radar, you could see a lot of activity would occur after the 240. But let's just take a glance at this. So here's our first system. You can see pretty aggressive across the northeast and southeastern Canada. There's our second system taking the snow right through Minnesota, Minneapolis. And again, the trend, if you're asking, the trend, I should probably mention this, the past several days has been to strengthen this northern wave and really the southern wave as well. So a lot of rain, you can see, drags on for a while. The polar vortex is a bit further to the east with this model than a GFS, so that allows some of that precipitation not to get fully pushed off, and it kind of meanders there, which would be a worse scenario. But it eventually does push off, but not before interacting potentially with another sort of clipper and bringing showers and rain into Florida. But that's a good day, or rather try there. And notice as we push this forward, we see very warm conditions, the 32-degree line way across, potentially even reaching towards James Bay, Hudson Bay area. Notice, and after that, we start seeing the parade of storm systems moving into the southwest, right? There's one right there that just crashes into the southwest and evolves into a pretty large system of rain and snow, depending on the exact setup. And I just want to demonstrate, look at that. Another system mainly using energy from the Gulf, developing, and quite a bit of warm air. Large systems, to say the least. So in terms of rainfall from this system, I showed you the snowfall from this model. In terms of rainfall, yeah, quite a bit of rain as well. Maybe not as ridiculous across the south as the GFS, but I mean, still bad news for those that are flooded. And the southwest, you can see right there, just north of Los Angeles, potentially an inch of rain in the mountains, or mountains, snow, more like it. But let's take a glance at the European, a very trustworthy model, right? Generally, I would say that's true. Let's take a look at its 240 hours, so not as much as a 384, which is the GFS models. Again, the south, you can see, is just targeted with this rain. Quite a bit of it, and across the north southwestern Canada, good amounts of rain, which would fall as snow. And it doesn't show much rain here, some amounts, but that's because the pattern gets active kind of around that 240 hour, and the European kind of has kept that off. Not as excited as some other models with that southwestern energy systems. And look at that. I mean, it still shows quite a bit of snow across the Minnesota area with that band. Maybe not as strong up until it reaches into southeastern Canada. Another system tracking through, right? So if you recall, the GFS, the operational one, took this cold front off completely. The GFS version 16, and the European develops a cold front right into Sunday and Monday, but then sends a second wave, pretty strong wave of that cold front across the south, which would drop even more rain. So definitely not good news. Look at that. There we have our little southwest system. Takes more of a track through Mexico, so it doesn't really affect those areas with much rain. But look, into the south, potentially severe weather, not out of the question, and look, it tracks off. Also advertising warm air. Canadian model, last one, just take a glance at it. Precipitation type and rate. There's our first system. Second one, probably a bit overdone. You can see it's a bit more widespread, these precip rates, which would indicate kind of where the rain will fall. Probably, the other models have a bit more realistic handle on the coverage of this, but in the track, you can see the Canadian favors the European and GFS version 16. So there probably will be more rain if you're looking screwed on Monday after all that rain. you could be even looking for some more into Wednesday and Thursday. And a bit of a break and potentially maybe more activity. You could see the Canadian actually develops a monster off the northeast coast and a blizzard off right there. So definitely interesting in terms of snowfall for that Midwest system tonight, or not tonight, into this weekend. Canadian keeps it a bit weaker. I wouldn't call for widespread 6-inch amounts yet, because of, if you look at the NAM and the RDPS, the high res models, they don't show that much snow with this system. They don't keep it as organized. They do develop it quite a bit across the south and southern Canada, I should say. But yeah, no big snow compared to what the RAP was showing. The HER model probably, I would assume, agrees more with the RAP shows. Yeah, some pretty good amounts of snow. That may be a bit overdone, to be honest, but I think some 6-inch amounts are possible. Alright, that's basically it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.